Hello.
We are back with Abe, who now has to take on his greatest challenge yet. But if you're not caught up to speed on the prequel, Abe's Odyssey, let's watch some backstory together.
In case it was too cheap to purchase our last game, let me tell you a bit about what happened. It was all about this Abe guy that worked in this dumb meat factory called Rupture Farms. The place was run by Gluckons, and they was on the verge of going out of business. They had already chopped up all the wild creatures, so now they had no choice but to chop up Abe and his buddies too. We gave Abe the ability to talk, so he could do the right thing and rescue his pals.
Hello, follow me, okay?
But some people didn't care about doing the right thing.
Hello. Oops.
They thought it was more fun to get them all shot. Or ground up.
Hello. Oops. I don't know.
Or crushed.
Oops.
Or even beaten. Needless to say, this pissed some folks off, and they didn't lift a finger to help Abe in the end. But if you was halfway decent about it, and tried your best to save Abe's buddies, the end would have been much better for Abe. And if you'd like to see it, you should dish out some cash and go buy this stinking game. And we gotta eat too, you know.
So in general, Abe's Odyssey was Abe rescuing 99 Mudokons from Rupture Farms and ultimately destroying it. And now an even greater challenge awaits Abe. But before we jump in, for those uninitiated, what is Oddworld, who is this Abe guy, and what are we doing in this game? Oddworld's Abe's Exoddus is the direct sequel to the very popular 2D puzzle platformer Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. The basic game is pretty much the same as the previous one. You control this guy, Abe. And on each screen, there's about 100 potential death traps. And you probably want to avoid them. That is, if you don't want to get shot, exploded, crushed, eaten, or otherwise mangled. Your main purpose in this game is to save all 300 Mudokons hidden throughout. To do this, a system known as GameSpeak allows you to speak with your buddies. More on this later, but being able to give simple commands allows you to rescue everyone. However, now that you are responsible for them too, the deadly traps that I mentioned, yeah, you have to navigate them safely around those too, which can be harder than you think. But if you're willing to go through those lengths, yes, you can save your brothers through these bird portals, and now you gotta do this 300 more times with all sorts of obstacles in the way. Similar to its predecessor, Abe's Exoddus is a hard and at times unfair game. It takes the concept failure is fun to the next level. But before we even talk about the next level, what is this game all about? And let's see the quite horrifying intro sequence and realize why we need to desperately save our brothers.
His scarred hand branded on Moon's odd face, this hero may free the Mudokon race. With skin of blue and spirit guides too, only he can save our bones from brew. But shall he fall to block and yoke? Mudokon nation be doomed to croak.
This is Necrum. Long ago, the Mudokons brought their dead here. That was before the Gluckons started stealing our bones. They used Mudokon slaves to do it. Blind ones that couldn't see. The Gluckons didn't want anyone to know what they were digging up. And no one ever did. Not until the spirits of those bones paid me a visit. That's me. My name is Abe. I had just returned from saving 99 Mudokons from Rupture Farms. they came to see me.
Hey, you're the savior of the Mudokons, so you gotta help us.
The Gluckins are digging up our bones.
You gotta come to Necrum, Abe. Quickly!
We had to do something, so me and some others left to search for Necrum. Our journey started well. We were kind of excited.
Abe, you're just the greatest.
Okay. But by lunchtime, we were getting pretty tired.
Come on. Okay. How much longer?
By dinner, it was unbearable.
It's 'cause of you we're in this mess.
This bites!
Can I go home?
Oh. What's that?
Something big.
Where is that coming? Hey, look at that. It's a bone. I think we're close. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. We're not supposed to be here. Look out, Abe! Oh.
Something smells.
Ew.
And with that hello, we find ourselves in Abe's Exoddus. In the prequel, I complained about secrets being completely hidden, and you basically needed to know where they are. Now this has changed, because many Mudokons, while they're hidden, they luckily have some tells. The first secret, once again, is on the very first screen. Here in Necrum, the secrets are marked with either bones or brew bottles somewhere on the screen. More on this a little bit later. In this first secret, we are introduced to flying sligs. This is a new type of enemy. Yeah, no more mechanical legs for them. They have a fancy propeller and exploding bombs. Now this first secret is pretty easy to understand. You have 3 Mudokons at the bottom. You have to guide them from right to left through the electric gates and then down the trapdoor. Now, I might be a little bit too eager to show off the fact that you can now talk to all 3 Mudokons at the same time. This is a massive improvement of the GameSpeak system, because before in Odyssey, you had to guide each Mudokon individually. However, like I said, I'm a bit too excited for it. That leads to my brother's demise a couple of times. Like, a lot of times. Oops. Until finally, I do it individually and get them all through. Getting all 3 through will actually help you unlock another secret within a secret. So with the GameSpeak, you now have the option to send people to work. This will have the Mudokons interact with the world around them, like, for example, operating these valves. This leads to puzzles with way more depth later in the game. I still find it amazing that the devs were able to iterate so well on what worked in Odyssey and then expand it to something even greater. And now within this secret section, we already have 12 Mudokons saved. But believe me, not all of them will be this easy, not by a long shot. To tell you a little bit more about the new GameSpeak options, the whistles from Odyssey have been replaced. So now you can say hello to one or many. You can also tell them to or.
Wait.
But you're also given a button to give them a good slap in the face or just to console them if they are down.
Sorry.
And the last one you can say,
Stop it.
however, that is, I'm pretty sure, functionally useless. This time around, Mudokons have different moods. This adds another dimension of depth. Angry Mudokons will smack people around them and just do whatever. You basically just gotta calm them down with a simple sorry. Wired, they are way too happy and you gotta smack some sense into them. Depressed, they also need you to say sorry, but don't hit them because they will literally game end themselves. Yes, this game is getting quite dark, but like, what did you think? The Gluckons are basically using blind slaves that have their eyes sewn shut to dig up bones of their ancestors to be turned into brew that makes other Mudokons addicted and dependent.
Gluckons
Like,
gave their brew.
excuse me? But back to the present. You can also have sick and blind Mudokons. Well, for the sick ones, there's no cure yet, but we will find it. And as for the blind ones, we'll see what their deal is in a bit. But we get up and get to save the first Mudokon in the main area. Behind Abe, you can see an information screen about how many employees are in the whole tunnel, in this tunnel, and also how many Mudokons have escaped already and how many casualties there are. Now the last one, that should stay at 0. Saving our guys opens the gate and introduces us to the thing we have read about. Yeah, if we open the valve, water will start pouring on this poor guy and he will get quite angry. He will not listen to our commands unless we apologize. And then he is as chipper as always. We can save it and proceed further. This first section is amazing at introducing all of the new mechanics, both to people who have already played the original and to newcomers alike. And now we get some wired Mudokons, so you gotta slap some sense into them. And once that is done, we even have a new puzzle with the work game speak. Sometimes Abe has to participate in the work, and sometimes not. Coming from Odyssey, seeing this and the depth of new puzzles this opens up is absolutely amazing. And we will see a lot about this throughout the game. Saving 2 more Mudokons, we ascend upwards and are introduced to something that I've been using the entire time. Quick saving. This feature is the best feature to happen since sliced bread, okay? Where in Odyssey, you only had checkpoints. This time you can quick save anytime, anywhere, and it just works. It just works. You'll see me quick save way too much in the background of some clips. Listen, okay? I'm over saving, to be honest, but it's great, okay? I like this. Also, the difficulty of this game is ramped up quite significantly, so without quick saving, I don't think there would be too much enjoying. We continue our ascent, slap some sense into our guys, and sneak to not alert the sleeping Slig. This too is quite an important mechanic to be introduced. We get to the valves together, pull the ring on the bottom, and we get to save 4 Mudokons. Awesome. Then shadow zones are introduced. These are places where Sligs are not able to see you. I already applauded Odyssey for this, but here the same thing goes. Exoddus introduces these simple mechanics rapidly, keeps introducing subtle new ones, and plays around with all of them continually. I think it is incredible how much the game is able to get out of these few simple mechanics just stacked together. We sneak our way past the Sligs and get to deactivate a bomb. Press it when it is green and it is deactivated. Press it when it is red and, well, we save our true friends and you already saw Mudokons in the background. But don't worry, we will visit those too. I really like that even though Ape's Exoddus is a 2-dimensional game, it feels completely 3-dimensional. The backgrounds, the mechanics, the sound, the music design, everything blends together perfectly. Moving up, we see the aforementioned brew bottles. Now these signify that a secret is somewhere on this screen. And for this, we have to take possession of the Slig, which is another absolutely amazing mechanic. In essence, I am now controlling the enemy. This includes their game speak, as well as, you know, any weapons they might be carrying. So going to the left, I can go into the background of the level that we've just seen. The best thing is I can interact with both the background and the foreground. I just wait until the Slig comes by and haha, done. I unpossess the Slig, which explodes it, and I get to save my friends in the background too. But first, I return down to save the other Mudokon that was left there. Sometimes, in some sections, backtracking is required to save some Mudokons. But it's never really a chore like it was in some levels of Odyssey. Going over here and going down on the left gets me towards the background as well, and that will easily get me to save another 2 Mudokons, and an additional one right here. Pretty awesome. The first section really teaches you about all of the major mechanics, and now we're back at the top again to meet up with the 5 Mudokons that we arrived with. Getting them all and sneaking with them, we can work together and open the big gate to Exil Tunnel 1. And with this, we're greeted with some major important backstory. I'll play most of this cutscene because it is very important.
Don't drink that,
Why not?
cause if brew's made by gluckins, it's probably bad for you.
What a wuss.
I hear you.
Look, Abe, we came all this way just to help you.
Well, but
It's not unreasonable that we are just a little bit thirsty. Now is it?
yeah, but
In case you didn't notice, we just walked across a desert.
So back off, Stitch Lips.
but no. I tried to stop them, but they drank the brew anyway. Lots of it. Then they got all sick looking, but they still wanted more. This whole thing out. Brew is made from our bones. This is bad. What do I do now?
What do you do? How about leading us out of here?
Okay, follow me.
Okay.
But oops, I forgot he was blind. Help me rescue the rest of
So
them.
yes, the terrible revelation that I've already revealed before, the brew of the Mudokons is made by the bones of their ancestors, mined by their blind brothers. Oh, that sends a shiver down my spine. But now we're down here, we can continue with Tunnel 2, and would you look at that? A secret. The secrets in this first part of the game are still quite tame. This one just takes us back here, and we get to easily rescue 5 Mudokons. But the devs, they won't be making such easy secrets for long. Then we get to run away from this flying Slig, a short and easy run sequence, and with us falling down the tube, we barely escape the firing squad. Oh, would you notice that? There's some bottles. That means there's a secret here. I take a leap of faith and... Well, that is my first death, and it won't be the last. But at least now we know where the pipe is located, so I can land in it. Also, to clarify, the reason I don't take possession of the Sligs is because of this guy. This is an anti-possession machine. It simply zaps you if you try to take possession of them. So we gotta be smart, luring one of them away and clearing the way like that. A short section commences where I blow up a Slig and then rescue 3 of my buddies. We then take possession of a flying Slig, which is really hard to control, especially when going through the drill zone. I managed to get through, kill all the Sligs, and blow up the flying guy. We rescue 4 more Mudokons, and we are back with the 5 guys from before. However, now they are sick. And they won't.
Stop it.
They will just continue to moan. What to do about this? There is an explanation on the left. Basically, we need to complete the challenges of the Mudanchee and Mudomo tribes in order to heal our Mudokon brothers. But before we can do that, we need to get the frig out of here. Now, we can't use that way. The way to go is actually the top right. Now, as a kid, for a longest time, I didn't know, or I just didn't notice, that falling rocks signify a ledge you can grab onto right there on a different screen. I probably spent hours trying to figure this out. But yeah, it's just up here. And now we're going to boiler access. You can see the boilers in the background and a bunch of slugs and mini slugs chasing us. Nothing to worry about yet, until you get the slugs to drop down the trap door. Then you better be quick in electrocuting them, otherwise, well. Alright, let's do this again, and there you go. The small ones, they're just easily dealt with. You can even jump over them if you wanted to. But let's just close the trap door and off to Tunnel 3. Here we are introduced to rocks and how to throw them. Throwing a projectile is an interesting mechanic, as the trajectory changes depending on the direction key you press when letting go of the rock. But here we are able to dispense with all of the mines, open the doors with those levers, and then we get rid of some more mines to reveal bottles, which means secret time. And this secret, well, they have it in for us now. Just look at this death screen already. What the actual frick? There are 3 blind Mudokons on the top left, noted by their white skin, and they will walk until you tell them to stop. And if you don't tell them to stop, they will just walk into a wall. I get the first 2 out, and the last one I have a bit of trouble with. Well, I mean, okay. Until I get him out too after reloading. With all 3 down here, we can go to the secret within the secret, where you need to take all 3 of them with you to operate these valves. This gets us up here to save even more Mudokons, which is amazing progress so far. 45 of 75 escapees from the mines. Let's progress and let the fun continue. I always found this part with the closing doors and the descent kind of funny. There's no real gameplay, just a fun sequence. I get myself 9 new rocks, and it is off to exploding more mines. Now make sure to not be too close to the mines unless you want to explode too. And then with these exploding mines, there's a freaking drill coming towards you inches from your face. What did I say? Don't get too close. Alright, let's do this again. Not too close this time. But also, you shouldn't get too close to the freaking drill. What did I say? The stacking of mechanics has already started. After figuring it out and exploding a bunch more mines, I'm free to enter the blind Mudokon zone. And here we are introduced to blind Mudokons, as if we haven't dealt with them before in the secret. Tunnel 4 has this interface with lots of blind Mudokons. We first have to get them all along to the right, basically disabling the drills. The beginning of Tunnel 5, there's much of the same, but once we get to save these 2 Mudokons, well, then we get to an awesome secret. You see the bottles? So there must be a secret here. And there it is. You have to run jump behind those rocks, and that's where you find it. It's just 2 guys there, but the next secret awaits us in the same vein. Just there to disable the drill above, and we get to the secret proper in a second. First, we gotta go all the way down to the Slig. Lure the blind Mudokon away from the drills, and get that Slig. Wait, what? How does the Mudokon die there? What? Well, apparently getting him 1 tile away from the drill is not enough. So doing this properly this time, I get rid of the Slig, go through the tube to activate the elevator, go back up, take all 3 blind guys over to the portal, and still get to save 3 more guys in the secret. And with 58 escapees, we only have 17 more to go. But now comes my favorite section, Tunnel 6, the minecart section. You have to be incredibly careful, sneak your way through until you can drive the minecart around, crushing Sligs easily. Haha! Now, saving all blind Mudokons here is honestly really challenging. But 300 is the goal, so we will save all 300, with the occasional explosion along the way. After saving the 3 guys, you can continue with the minecart, and this now is a rough one. You have to sneak, disable the mine, sneak back, and then lure the Slig away so you can get rid of it. Once again, I love the stacking of mechanics here though. We save 4 more Mudokons in the secret here, and I use the screen transition to hide from the Slig, and it actually freaking works. We continue downwards and make sure all gates are open, and then it's minecart time again. Saving the last 4 Mudokons means we have saved all 75 Mudokons in the Necrum Mines, and now we enter the boiler room again. Let's just say this might have an explosive end to it. We first disable the electric gates and open all the valves on each of the boilers. This will increase the pressure. That is until boiler 3, and then it is time to run. The flying Slig honestly doesn't even bother me, I just ignore him. As the alarm rings and we make our way towards the exit, let's see where Ape lands, and oh, that must have hurt. But yeah, here we are in Necrum proper, the ancient burial place of the Mudokons. We of course start, however this time on the second screen, with a secret. This has us visit the Slig Barracks of all places. This is a really awesome place we will be going to in the future. For now, the idea here is that to make sure the Sligs in the background can't shoot you, you have to be in front of something. Now this once again proves to be much harder than it looks, mainly because I'm way too impatient. And then the time is ticking. The drill is about to kill all of my Mudokon brothers. So we first gotta disable all 3 mines, and time is ticking. After a couple of failed attempts, I finally get it. This is what I'm saying, the devs not pulling any punches with the secrets. They are becoming almost sadistic in their difficulty level. But it is so awesome to solve these puzzles, because those are usually the most fun. I had always wished for a level editor for the old Oddworld games. I probably would have made like 100 levels. In fact, I even have some old sketches of a couple of ideas. Those were good old times. But now we're playing Exoddus and we're introduced to the backstory of this place. The basic summary is like this. We are the savior of the Mudokon race. The vaults of Necrum are protected by scrabs and paramites, and the spirits of the Mudanchee and Mudomo tribes have to be rescued. Also, rescue living Mudokons too. Of course, nothing too spectacular. We enter the Great Hall, and the spirits are there again. They remind us that it is our destiny to release Ape's ancestors from their bindings. And then we will be able to save Ape's friends too. Some more creatures are introduced, like the Phleg, which is a nasty worm-like creature that likes to eat, well, us. Stepping on slurgs makes them wake up. And these are some nasty enemies, but nothing we can't also conquer. These giant locks are ghost traps, which are basically what keeps Ape's ancestors in bondage. And this is the bad kind of bondage. So let's go ahead and destroy it. We then go through a few rooms with Phlegs in them, however their AI is really not that good, so we can easily outmaneuver them. I say this now, but we will have some issues with Phlegs later, but it's fine. We continue, are introduced to spirit rings, which will make us invisible. Yes, you heard right. Look at this, or rather don't look at this, because I am invisible, and the enemies just ignore me. This will come in very handy in the future. Coming to this screen, I mean, once again, look at the absolutely breathtaking visuals in the background of these scenes. Even though they're mostly static, the sense of scale they convey, it is incredible to me. So here we are having to choose between the Mudanchee Vault, housing fearsome warrior spirits protected by the mighty Scrab, or going through the trials of the Mudomo Vault, who were a peaceful tribe building great monuments. These spirits are protected by the Paramites. We're going to the Mudanchee Vault first, and before we enter the temple, we have a secret to figure out. And this is the first time I smack a Slig. Would you look at that? I find it so funny that we can literally just slap them. But continuing along, we see our first greeter. These machines were originally introduced as self-walking vending machines. However, they would continue to electrocute a lot of their customers. So instead, they're used as security bots. If you move inside of their laser grid, you're toast. Now, the timing on this puzzle is absolutely nuts. You have to go onto the trapdoor while it is up, disable the mine, and then continue. I get the idea of luring the greeter into the mine after disabling everything up above, and it actually works. So now let's enter the Mudanchee trial chambers. There's no grand entrance, and we're just immediately in the thick of it. As we go to the right, we enter the ancient halls and get told once again to free all of the ancient spirits. Also, unlike in Odyssey, we are now able to take possession of the scraps. Oh, this is about to get fun. We take possession and have to be careful because the fleeches will eat the entire scrap if you don't crush them before. But we master this, of course. We move on, fleeches trying to eat us, and then invisibility, well, gets us past these scraps. I'm not worried in the slightest. Going up has us eaten by fleeches a couple of times though. However, after I get invisibility, we can easily proceed. Oh, and now we'll fight some scrabs as a scrab. Or I guess not. This fleech escaped me narrowly, but I will be able to deal with it. Break the spirit lock, and off we go. Another secret awaits us, and this one is absolutely insane. You have fleeches which will release in a very short time, so we gotta get our buddies out of there immediately. However, a couple of high-powered and very fast drills are placed conveniently in the way. I always remember this secret fondly as an example of how amazing these mechanics work together. Into the bird portal, and we are in the trial chamber proper. Similar to its predecessor, Exoddus uses the central hub to an individual room design extensively throughout the game. Here, we have 6 trial chambers to solve, and so, let's go. Starting at trial number 1, we go to the left and make sure to note there are bottles on the ground. So it is secret time, and we have to run. I love this short chase sequence, and once again into the portal, we immediately have to get ready. Possess the scrab, get it into the crate, close the gate, get these guys out of there, and then below, the same friggin' thing. I mess up the bottom a couple of times because once again, I am being too impatient. You simply have to stop sooner. Descending all the way to the bottom just does not give the Mudokons enough time. However, with all 4 guys out of danger, we rescue them and we are back at trial 1. We just outsmart some fleeches here, and of course that's not too difficult. And even down to the right, we can pretty much outsmart them easily, and trial 1 is done like that. Trial 2 has us running from fleeches which narrowly don't eat me, but they did however eat the scrap which I possessed. Oops. The invisibility given to us by the spirit ring saves us. However, we're not out of trial 2 yet, because this is a 2-part trial chamber. We have 2 branches. Either we can deal with a scrab or with the fleeches. I choose to deal with a scrab first time around, which might have been the wrong choice. In fact, I mess up so bad, I think we need a good old death counter. What do you say? Now, the Fleecher Spirit Lock actually gives us invisibility, so that death before could have been avoided. Oh well. Back to the hub, we go to trial number 3, and this one is the first one I'm a bit confused about. I know we gotta get both of these scraps fighting, and then we're pretty much good, but this isn't all. We have a second part. The memories of the second part of trial 3 are just awesome. I still remember playing this as a kid a lot, and the scraps used to absolutely terrify me. I mean, for good reason, might I add. This puzzle is insane. You have a scrap at the bottom, and you need to just wait until it is far enough away, jump down, break the lock, and go back up. Even looking at it now, it is such tight timings. I always hated this puzzle as a kid, but I appreciate it as an adult. Now, don't think that's it. You're not up for part 3 of trial 3? It's honestly not too crazy. You just run around in the background. You can switch to the foreground if you like. Destroying the spirit locks will make you drop down. So you do have to carefully time it, but it is fairly straightforward, all things considered. Trial 4 gets us the first door that needs 4 spirit locks to be broken. But in essence, it's really easy. Just simply a running sequence where you're never really in danger, except if you mess up like this. On to Trial 5, which is a bit more demanding. Note once again the bottles on the right here. Another secret awaits us, and this is a special one. You just lure the fleeches through the electric gate and it's done. But this is the visit of the deep voice Mudokon. Listen to this. How crazy is that? I don't know why the devs did this, but I think it's amazing. Well, we go back to the trial and get ourselves invisibility, and now we're basically good to go. Break the spirit locks along the way, and we are easily out of here. Trial 6. Oh, we're knocking these out like nothing. Here we run and make sure to lock the scrap behind the gate first. We then have a couple of options. The best one is to open the gate, possess the scrap, and kill the fleeches. That's exactly what I try, but we gotta make sure the scrap is not eaten because that is very easy to happen. Let's get the invisibility again, and we're off to the second part of this trial. You have a similar configuration, just with height and depth this time. I first open the gate in the background so I can slay the Fleeches. Descend down again, make sure the scrap is not eaten, and oh, oops. Okay, let's try this again. Listen, these Fleeches are the bane of my existence sometimes, but there we freaking go. All Fleeches are gone. We get the invisibility, and we can just walk alongside the scrap and the Fleeches. And back in the main hub, we can now go on to the last trial chamber. Now this one, oh, I love this again, because similar to Odyssey, this is a running course. Now, I absolutely love these, and specifically this one, I absolutely adore. While it is not particularly difficult, and even though I die a couple of times, it is just fun to go through. You run away from a scrab, making sure to not get eaten by Fleeches. Get teleported in a way to escape the scrab again, and we go on to a similar thing. We then escape down here to run away from a slug. Teleporting gateways get us to safety, and you have to act quick. Possess the Slig to get up and make sure to not leave a single slug alive. Move on, turn invisible, and break the 2 spirit gates, and just for good measure, while I'm invisible, I smack the Slig because it's just, he deserves it probably, right? Evade the Fleeches here, get to the last lock, and wha-bam! We're done, and get to save another 5 Mudokons. Entering the door, we immediately get back to the Mudomo Vault, so it is Paramite time. The Mudomo levels have a bit more of a violet tint. It really distinguishes it from the reds that the scrub sections had. But now what is the deal with Paramites? Alone, they are afraid and will run away from you. However, cornered, they will be fast to strike you down. And as soon as you get more than one Paramite, run. In Exoddus, you can also possess the Paramites, which actually have their own entire language and game speak systems. But for now, we just learned that you can pull on these rings with them. Additionally, you can order the other Paramites around. While this becomes quite tedious, we'll only do it when absolutely necessary. We can also climb these dark webs, and that is basically the mechanics of the Paramites. In the Mudomo trial chambers, we'll be dealing a lot with them. And of course, with a bunch of Fleeches too. Here we possess one of the Paramites and get to attack the Fleeches together. While it is not strictly necessary, it is kind of cool to see the Paramites, as pack animals, have a shared language. We continue along and learn of meat and how it attracts the Paramites. Breaking all the locks, and we have to run away fast into the bird portal, and welcome to the Mudomo trial chambers. Once again, 6 trial await us, and I deliberately start with the hardest one. Oh, trial 1. The issue here is that you only have a limited number of Paramites to kill the Fleeches with. However, there are so many of them that it is quite difficult. I mean, look at how fast these guys eat. Holy! However, with some clever tactics, I'm able to outwit all of them, and on to trial 2. Trial 2 contains a secret again, and oh, you will love the Mudomo secrets. In terms of mechanics, they are kind of really cool things. In terms of actually playing them, they are infuriating. Now this guy is mad, so he won't listen to us. While we can make him stop for a short time by talking to him, the drills and saws everywhere make navigating this level damn hard. Especially because the Fleeches will drop down quite quickly while he's using the valve, which will result in them eating one of our buddies. However, we can use these saws to our advantage. I simply wait for the Fleeches to drop down and haha. Then we can easily save some more of our people. Another 3 Mudokons saved, and we're up to 97. Awesome progress, almost a third way through. Trial 2 is super easy. We simply sneak past everyone being invisible and continue to trial 3. This is when we get to use some of the Paramites again, and we need to pull on those rings at the same time, so teamwork makes the dream work. I do mess this up by standing here, so the other Paramites would just not move. I don't know how, but I somehow managed to salvage it, pull all the levers, kill all the Fleeches, and get rid of the Paramite. After the locks are broken, we proceed. 3 down, 3 more to go. Trial 4 is another short running sequence, which is actually quite easy. However, here at the end, the last screen has some bottles. So let's take a leap of faith and... Oh, that's the wrong way. As we hit the pressure plate, we immediately have to take possession of the Paramite, otherwise it will get crushed. Now the same motif continues in the secret. Take possession of the Paramite and pull the ring before Abe gets crushed. Then command 2 more Paramites to pull the rings before the Mudokons get crushed. I think we'll see this sort of mechanic one more time in the future, but I think it is brilliant. With the depth Exoddus has to offer, once again, the level editor. Where is it? I know that there's a community project that exists, actually multiple projects, first starting with Paul's level editor, I don't even know, 13 years back or something. It's actually quite impressive, to be honest with you. And there's another one, which is pretty cool, but the levels there can be quite hacky, and it's just not a true level editor. I would have really loved that. Regardless, done with Trial 4 and then on to Trial 5, which is not really memorable. Overall, just a bunch of leeches and a paramite, and at the end, you gotta use the meat to lure 2 of the paramites into corner and escape. This was kind of the first trial that was a little bit meh. And then the last trial commences, trial 6, and this one is fairly straightforward. Once again, we get a paramite which we control in the background. Now, luckily, we get as many as we need. We navigate through the background, hold all the rings, and then just walk through. It's a fun trial, but there's no real way to die. With all 6 trials done, let's run again. Another running section, this time with paramites and fleeches. I don't die often enough for a death count, but you can see the inspiration from Odyssey's running sequences. Very well done and just overall a fun experience. In the last screen, we run and enter the door, which actually brings us to the ancient spirits that had contacted us in the very beginning of the game. So, let's take a look and see what they have to say.
Guys, weirdos, whatever you are, did you know that the Gluckons are using your boats to make Soulstorm Brew?
Of course we do. That's why we need you.
What could I do?
You shut down Rupture Farms. You can shut down the brewery too.
You want me to shut down Soulstorm Brewery? Okay, I'm afraid.
Don't worry, we can give you powers. Yes, Darren powers. Yeah.
You sure about that? I've been through this before. Back when I got the power to shut down Rupture Farms. That's when I first saw the creatures of Oddworld as they used to be. Before we chopped them into tasty treats. We had forgotten our past, and now it was costing us our future. And even our souls.
Come on up. No and improved.
Well, what is it?
Don't think. Drink. Come on. Do it.
Okay.
At first, the Gluckons gave their brew away.
Oh, tasty.
But once the Mudokons started drinking it, they couldn't stop. Then those Gluckons told them that if they wanted to work, they could have all the brew they wanted.
Only if you got a job.
They fell for it.
Step right up.
Oh!
I love his job. Step right up.
So now, the weirdos want me to destroy the brewery, but I gotta save the Mudokons there first. And I just got the power to heal Mudokons sick from brew.
Yes, we are off and we will destroy Soulstorm Brewery. But first, we have to save the rest of the Mudokons, starting of course with our old friends. Now that we have the cure, they fought out their illness, and we can get them back to work so we can go to Feeco Depot. However, our work has not gone unnoticed. Top management of the Magog cartel are discussing us, so let's hear what they have to say.
I hate that Abe guy. Mullick's gonna be pissed. First Rupture Farms, now Necrum Mines. If he ever comes back, we're screwed.
Where you two see problems, I see opportunity. Now it's our turn to take over.
Screw you, Aslik. You ain't running nothing.
Now, gentle Glucks. Let's not argue over who gets what.
Hey! I got a career to consider. What are we gonna do about it? Huh? What? I don't know, a panic?
No, you idiot! We're gonna lock this place up so tight that Ape Guy'd have to be invisible to get in.
Oh well, that's not really an issue.
Ow!
But here we are in Feeco Depot, immediately greeted with a secret on the first screen. It's honestly very straightforward. Just sneak through the shadows, rescue the Mudokons, and there we go. And then we are introduced to one of the best things ever. Magogs on the March, a news show hosted by a Slig, which has some of the funniest stuff ever. Let's listen.
The Magog on the March. News you need. Our main story. To prevent the renegade terrorist Mudokon known as Abe from possibly destroying Soulstorm Brewery, the main security gates can only be opened by direct order of high-ranking executives General Drippick, Vice President Aslik, and Director Phleg. If you have any further questions, please feel free to pull the lever to your right.
I mean, if he says so, then obviously we have to pull the lever on the right. Well, obviously, let's pull the lever. I have so many questions and, oh, you sneaky game developers. But now it is off to Feeco Depot proper. Now listen, I know it sounds crazy, but with the powers to heal Mudokons, we also gain the power to drink the brew ourselves and then take possession of our farts and have them explode. Listen, I know this might be the craziest string of words that you've ever heard, but look at it, it's true. You drink the brew, you fart, and after a couple of seconds, the fart simply explodes. How crazy is that? And then the same thing here. I simply fart and I possess the fart. And once I unpossess it, well, listen, it might be a crude joke, but I absolutely love it. After this, we can leave Terminal 1 and 2, and we have some more farts to explode. Here, we take out the anti-possession machine and the Slig at the top. We then run away from some flying Sligs, and sometimes they will just explode each other. Exactly like this. Well, that makes the rest of the walk quite easy. Let's get ourselves another exploding fort and off we go to the main lobby. Feeco Depot is connected to all major businesses in the Magog cartel. This includes the Slig Barracks, the Boneworks, Rupture Farms, and of course Soulstorm Brewery. There's also the Feeco Executive Office. As we heard before, to gain access to Soulstorm Brewery, we need to find General Drippick, Vice President Aslik, and Director Phleg. Now we're going to start with Director Phleg, who is the Executive Director of Boneworks. For this, we need to go upwards. I of course already know the route, so I just take possession of the farts, fly them up there where they need to be, and oh look, Rupture Farms out of service. I wonder who would do such a thing. Before I go up though, you can see the gates below. This tells us once again we need approval from all three executives before we can move on to Soulstorm Brewery. Biker's Lab coming soon is quite funny too, because those are actually the big antagonists to the sequel of Ape's Exoddus, which is Munch's Odyssey, but for now we're trying to help Ape save the world. So let's go to the Boneworks. Overall, the Boneworks is a place with a bunch of slugs and slicks and possibly some blind Mudokons. One thing for sure is there will be many secrets. In this section, the first one, it is an absolute mindbreaker. Basically, there are different colored gates which are operated either by levers or by pressure plates. And we have to save this blind guy while a slug is running around at the bottom. I really try to figure out what the frick I am doing here, and I'm wrecking my brain so much. And finally, I get the blind guy out of there and get him to safety. What a freaking puzzle. This is what I mean. I love this sort of thing. I do appreciate the harder puzzles much more nowadays. After a few not so interesting screens, I get to those slugs and these blind Mudokons. Now I'm able to save all 4 of them, and we are at 112 saved Mudokons. And we board the train towards the Boneworks. Man, I really like the aesthetics of this place. That's what Exoddus just does so freaking well. Each area is easily distinguishable by both its color palette and the general aesthetic. We finally make it through the first couple of screens and another newscast delights us. So let's see what they have to say.
The Magog on the March. News you can use. Director Phleg reports bone production down. Ow!
It ain't my fault. It's that Abe guy. First Rupture Farms, now Necrum Mines. There ain't no bones anywhere. No bones, no brew. I am totally screwed. My career is over. And it's all that blue bastard's fault.
Blah, blah, blah. Brought to you by Scrap Cakes. They'll cost you an arm and a leg.
Well, awesome. And we're off to Annex 1. Now this puzzle kind of broke me. I really thought I knew this game, but apparently I have some things to learn too. Now, I get this guy down here, which is great. I operate the electric gates. However, I am pretty sure I just softlock myself here. So I intentionally die, and look at it. The electric gates are no longer active, so for some reason, they reset on a quick load. What? This allows me to go up into the secret right here. The secret itself is pretty straightforward. Just teleport using the teleport gates and don't get caught by the sligs. Even though the secret is fairly simple, I still love this one. It's no grand mechanic, but it's just having a little bit of fun. I apologize to both Mudokons to get them over to the right and save them. Another 2 off home, and I return to Annex 1, which has the electric gates on again. What? So I quick save, reload, and then they're off again. I genuinely don't understand this. But alright, I save my buddies here, and upon saving this time, the gates turn off too. I honestly don't know what is up here. I just continue to the right, running away from the slug here. Note the bottles. So, a very tiny secret to save 5 more Mudokons, and we're at a whopping 120 saved already. Whoa, we're almost halfway there. Whoa, living on a prayer. We exit Annex 1, and oh boy, more slugs. How wonderful. We get ourselves some meat, and man, the timing on this is very hard. But then, look at this, my beloved, the mine car. Oh, what fun we will have. We sneak past the lasers, and then mine car time. Just listen to the fear of the sligs. No one's coming to save you now. Annex 4 is as easy as taking possession of one of the sligs, getting rid of the rest, and turning off 3 electric gates. Honestly, nothing too spectacular. Annex 5 is just evading a flying slig, which is way too easy, and Annex 6, oh, that is where the fun begins. At the top right, we have a bunch of slugs guarding a door. Now, we lure them away, and I see for myself what's behind the door. It turns out the exit. Well, what is on the left side then? It's sligs. Well, gotta be a little bit more sneaky over here. But turns out there's only meat here. No Mudokons to be saved. So the trip was kind of for nothing. Interesting. The gate stops me again. So we exit Annex 6 and are now in Annex 7. I think that one is probably my favorite on the annexes. Annexes? 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 Annexi? We disable the 3 electric gates and actually get told about Feeco powers. We'll see those in a second and how they actually make my life a bit harder. The falling boxes and the shaking screen is quite disorienting, but we'll still make our way up, open the gate, and get some meat to fall to our death. Twice. I get those 2 guys down here. Saving this guy from the falling boxes is actually quite simple because they are not simulated if you're not on the same screen. So it's very easy to cheese. We can't save 3 Mudokons just yet because I need all 5 to get the Feeco powers. And once I get it, I decide to not use it and go down to the secret, which turned out to be a bit of a mistake. Because while I get rid of the slig, my buddy over here, well, when you have Feeco powers, every time you chant, the Feeco power gets activated. And if there's nothing to destroy on the screen, you just shout once, well, and that makes the timing incredibly difficult. Now, after a couple of attempts, I finally get it. And then, I didn't even need the Feeco power. This is so strange, what? But off to Annex 8, where we will turn off the 5 main boilers of Boneworks. Mostly, the boiler rooms are pretty simple. Running away from the slugs, disabling the boiler, and there you go. Boiler 2 gives me a little bit of a hard time with explosions, but overall, it's also quite trivial, all things considered. Getting rid of some mines, but don't forget, there is a secret down here. Turning off the second boiler, and here we go, 2 in 1. Number 3 right here, and number 4 in the background. After we turn off boiler 5, it is finally time to enter the executive office. After running away from some slugs, we are here. And there is Director Phleg. Of course, we can now also possess Gluckons. So that means it is ordering time. Gluckons don't do any work themselves. Are you nuts? Of course, they just order sligs around. Now in this section, you pretty much only have to order sligs around, pull levers, use lifts, and kill some slugs that are coming at you. Now this is all fine, but when the drills are coming in your general direction, above you, from the side, timing can be quite harsh. And sometimes, things like this happen. We do this spiel, a couple of times here and there, and then descend to the last time, where I lose it just a couple of times, but luckily, with some patience, I finally get through it. And here we are at the security phone, and we can see Abe's best impression of Director Phleg.
Yes, sir.
Disengage Operation Lightning Bolt.
Huh? What?
Disarm the main gates.
Oh,
Do it, you idiot.
oh, gotcha. Oh, there it is. Orders is orders.
What's really fun is you can see Phleg exploding in the background, and now we have 30 seconds to escape until gas floods this place, and death by gas is horrifying. But we make it out, save 9 more Mudokon friends for a total of 143, and we're back at Feeco Depot. And now we're gearing up to make a summertime visit to the Slig Barracks. They are truly beautiful this time of year. Using the brew, we get rid of some of the mines and ascend again. And here, we are in the employee-only area, to turn off the electric gate, of course. We sneak, or sometimes run through the shadows. I give this guy a good smack on my way to the barracks, and off we are. First introduced to the Slig gates. These are controlled by the Slig trills that they can do with their tentacles. And now VP Aslik was right about one thing. Someone had to be invisible to get through this. Luckily, our ancestors got something for that. We get a spirit ring and run through this very well-guarded area right here. To finally end up over here, open some of the gates, get rid of some of the Sligs, and off we go onto the train. The Slig Barracks. I always really like this place. It is a very hard part of the game, but the aesthetics work wonders. The level design is great, and overall, it is so awesome. The barracks also introduced the most pathetic creature of them all, the pantless Slig, but more on them later. The main enemy throughout the Slig Barracks is the Slig. I mean, what did you expect? Once again though, I am thoroughly impressed with the depth of puzzles they are able to get out of basically a single type of enemy. Awesome. I go up here and get just a little bit confused about where to go, so I get shot in the face. However, the trick here is to actually have the Slig fall down while he's looking the other way. Even further up, we take possession of a flying Slig and use him to clear out the way. As we know, Sligs can't see into shadows, so we sneak around from here to there and there to here to get to a boom machine. This one only gets us 1 bomb, so we have to come back to get more. With this well-placed bomb throw, we knock out 2 Sligs, kind of like 2 Sligs for 1 bomb, which is pretty nice. Also, getting rid of the Slig next to the boom machine makes a lot of sense. And now it's just a matter of throwing those bombs correctly. We enter block 0, get rid of the Slig, apologize to all of the Mudokons down there, and they also help me open the door. Then they're free to escape, and we have saved 149. Awesome. Another hub to trial chamber design awaits us, and this time, each room even has names. This time we'll start with the rifle range to go on to the Mudokon workers campus, looking into the trophy room, and the bombing range to finish off the Slig Barracks before we enter the war room. But let's start with block 1 of the rifle range, but not before watching some news.
The Magog on the march. News you can't abuse. General Drippick declares martial law.
No mamby-pamby Mudokon meat puppet is gonna make me look like a fool. We'll have that traitor Abe in no time. Or my name ain't,
Terrific, sir.
Drippick. I knew that. I knew
Brought
that.
to you by Mullock's Mouthloop. Say it, don't spray it.
And in block 1, well, the rifles are locked and loaded. You have to carefully navigate in front of the obstacles so the Sligs in the background won't shoot us. Overall, it's fairly straightforward, but requires some precise timing. On to block 2, the Mudokon worker camp. These mines got nothing on me, but apparently this lift has. Once again, the mines are not simulated if you're not on the same screen, so we can easily get this guy out of there and save the 2 of our guys. Through the door, and do my eyes spot bottles? A secret. This one is once again fairly simple. It's just a couple of timed jumps avoiding the Slig. Of course, the mine on the second screen is slowly inching its way towards the Mudokon, but if you're fast enough, nothing to worry. We continue along and we have 3 mines to disable, this flying mine to avoid, and 2 wired Mudokons to slap. With all 3 Mudokons saved, we get the Shrikle powers, which allows us to exit block 2 and enter block 3, the Slig Barracks. Here we finally get to see the pantless Sligs. Look at these pathetic creatures. I missed one of the slugs right here, but we're able to salvage this situation. You can see that the pantsless Sligs can get pans at these stations. The way block 2 is built is that we have another hub section. We need to open doors to suits A, B, C, and D, and finish them all individually. With suit A easily done, we can proceed with opening suite B and then getting 2 Mudokons out of there. To open C and D, we need to go up all the way. Man, this is a stacked area. On the left, we have 3 Sligs next to the boom machine. Of course, first of all, let's get rid of all of them, and after doing that, this whole thing gets way easier. Exploding another Slig and the anti-possession machine allows us to then take possession of a pantsless Slig. I explode 2 of them and then open the door. I'm pretty sure this is the only time you ever have to possess a pantless Slig. I'll say this, I think they could have done way more with this mechanic. But to be fair, the game was done under immense time constraints. It's actually a wonder about how polished it already is. They finished this game in 9 months, with Lauren Lanning, the director of the game, saying, "We killed ourselves getting Apes Exoddus done in 9 months. It was brutal." I can imagine. The publisher wanted a sequel ready for Christmas 1998. That's why the deadline was so brutal, man. However, I gotta say, it was magnificent. It's very strange to have such a fun and awesome memory of this game, which was really hard for the developers. But anyway, suits C and D are cleared as well, and we go on to Block 4, the trophy room, and of course, the bombing range. Now here we get some invisibility to help, electrocuting the 2 Sligs, and off we are, another 6 Mudokons saved for a total of 177. And of course, the bombing range. This flying Slig is nuts. But after avoiding him, we get all the way to the left, possess this Slig, and make sure none of the Mudokons come to harm, which is harder than you might expect. But after getting rid of all of the flying Sligs, here we are. They're all wired, but the others can deal with them. Get the frig out of here. And then here's a secret. Oh lord. Here's a secret. In the beginning, I get it almost first try. But sadly not. You have to sneak your way through the narrow corridor with this flying Slig avoiding all the flying mines. But man, the controls are simply not that precise. So it's time for a flying Slig montage. Deaths. This might actually be a record for most attempts for any secret ever. But here we go, saving 2 more Mudokons, and back we go, out of Block 4 onto the headquarters of General Drippik, just before the war room. We go up and roll through what seems to be a ventilation shaft, and I might explode here or there, but then we enter the war room. It is time to take General Drippik for a spin. Overall, this entire section is just ordering Sligs to run into mines. It's really not as creative as some other parts. Also, I accidentally get Drippik killed, so the gas starts flooding, and here is the death animation for the gas, which is, it's so bad, oh my lord. Well, we continue along and make sure not to leave any Sligs behind, and yeah, it's just more Sligs running into mines. And then we're at the security phone to shut off the gas.
Hey, this is,
Drippik.
Drippik, open the main gates and do it.
Gotcha. Right away, sir. Let me see. What button was that?
And that's it. We get to save another 8 Mudokons, and we're back at Feeco Depot. And now it is time to visit Uncle Aslik in his executive office. Let's hear from him.
The Magog on the March. News you won't lose. Vice President Aslik addresses Mudokon workers.
Those stinking slaves! I mean, my fellow employees. Uncle Aslik's been taking good care of you, right? I love all of you like you was my own, right? But if we don't catch this Abe guy, it's the brew vats for all of you! Now, what are you waiting for? Get back to work!
Message brought to you by Soulstorm Brew. Our spew is your brew.
This section once again is absolutely amazing because it shows you what invisibility can do. Don't forget to pull the baggage claim lever because, well, I mean, do I need to say more? After going invisible and jumping into the tube, we are immediately at the offices. Now they are heavily guarded. Now I'm unsure how to close this gate before I'm shot, but I figured it out and we get to control Aslik. It's pretty much just to get rid of all of the Sligs, talking to the machine twice, and yeah, here we are at the security phone. No real puzzles to solve or anything. This was probably the last edition made during development because it does seem a little bit lackluster. But let's hear about Aslik's phone call.
What do you want?
Hey,
Vice President Aslik. Yes, sir.
disarm the main gates.
Gotcha, sir. Gotcha.
Do it.
Yes, sir. Man, he is pissed.
After Aslik explodes, we can just leave. Save 10 Mudokons and now up to 202. And we're back at Feeco Depot. One last secret to solve before we are off to Soulstorm Brewery. I try not to get electrocuted or shot, but the timing on this turns out to be harder than expected. The puzzle in general isn't too hard, but it's the timing, right? It's so tight. On the next screen, it gets even rougher. With both Sligs at the bottom, I simply possess them and get rid of them easily. But it turns out, opening the gate also enables this incredibly fast drill, and I have to get all 3 Mudokons through that? Maybe it's just dumb luck, but I actually get all 3 Mudokons through first freaking try. Let's go! And off we are to Terminal 5. Some blind Mudokons are here, and I wonder for a second where I need to go. But I conclude we just need to go this way with the greeters. I get to take possession of my farts again and take out the anti-possession machines, getting rid of all of the mines with the flying Slig. And then we can guide all the blind Mudokon brothers here as well. After getting all of them down here, we rescue all 4 and we're up to 210 Mudokons saved. And so off we are to Soulstorm Brewery, our last train ride. And the first thing we do, of course, watch some news. Sadly, one last time.
The Magog on the March. News for your blues. Warning, warning. Abe the Mudokon terrorist has infiltrated Soulstorm Brewery. Gluckin department heads explode. Oh, the horror. Even though brew production has plummeted, Mudokon slaves are disappearing left and right, and the toilets are backing up all over the place. Top management reports that everything is gonna be fine. I'm out of here.
We have to solve one simple puzzle before we go into Soulstorm Brewery proper. The way this entire section works is with hubs again. We have 3 hubs to go through, each with 5 Zulaks. And the devs are not pulling punches anymore. All of the puzzles have their difficulty increased significantly, and I will say this, the creativity is definitely back. In this first section, we possess a Slig to get rid of the guard. That then allows us to blow up the anti-possession machine to take over the Gluckon. I finished this, but not before smacking the ever-loving crap out of one of the Gluckons. And off we are to Hub 1. Pretty sure I don't do these Zulaks in perfect order, but here we are, Zulak 1. We have angry Mudokons constantly pulling levers, making our time quite difficult. Also, it turns out if they speak up, they're shot immediately. Jeez, man. Well, let's try this again. Beating up the guy actually makes him stop, so let's go. We get ourselves a Gluckon, open some gates, explode some bombs, and descend it down to open the last gate. Ending it with ordering the Slig to kill the Gluckons is actually quite funny to me, and thus easily saved another 2 Mudokons and off to Zulak 3 this time. Now this one, I'm pretty sure everyone who has played this game remembers this. You have multiple screens where rhythmic drills are, drilling. They're quite difficult to navigate, but luckily you only really need to do it one direction. We can simply use the trick of the drills not being simulated on a different screen again. And so Zulak 3 is easily done. Zulak 4, that offers this secret right here. Out of order? Sure. You simply gotta electrocute some slugs. But yeah, I didn't realize it's a toggle, so oops. Here we simply pull the lever, get rid of the Slig, and then we can't release the Mudokons yet because, well, my man would just get zapped by the greeters. So it is Slig v greeter action. Nice. The wired Mudokons, you know what? Wherever the frick they go, they can deal with them. 2 more save for a total of 222. We continue with Zulak 4 with a terrible revelation. There are tier extractor machines. After getting rid of the greeters and making our way safely across here and into the tube, we find out the horrible truth.
Then I found out the other ingredients.
Hey! How are we doing on tiers?
20 gallons an hour, boss.
What? That is not near enough! How are we going to get that deep fresh flavor that's smooth without being bitter? You might as well take out their bones!
It ain't my fault, boss. We keep running out of Mudokons. They keep disappearing.
I don't need excuses! I need tears! Turn up the gain! Do it!
I'm on it, boss.
First our meat, then our bones, now our tears.
Yep, the brew is also made with Mudokon tears. Listen, when you think about it, what a dystopian horror is this? It's not even just like Oddworld, it's horrible world when you think about it. We can cure the 3 friends over here easily, possess the Slig, open the gate, and then save 3 more Mudokons. Off to Zulak 2. I did say I'm doing them out of order. So in Zulak 2, we're mostly dealing with flying sligs and some mines. I struggled with the chase sequence a couple of times, but after possessing one of the flying sligs, I coaxed the other one into exploding himself. That's always the best choice. Then we fly through some tunnels, and the controls have not gotten easier, but I pull the lever and get 3 more Mudokons out. I save the last 2 and we're off to Zulak 5. Now this is a fun sequence of having sligs drop down the trapdoors all at once. We do this trick again with small slugs and a big slug, and then we can easily save another 3 Mudokons. Then I wonder, how do I open this gate? Turns out it is there to not softlock yourself. You need to get the 3 Mudokons to open the door right here, a well-placed gate. And then we're off to Hub 2, which posts 39 employees, and the levels aren't getting any easier. Zulak 8 has us running away from slugs and using flying sligs to get rid of them. We need to then navigate the flying sligs to the top to release the Mudokons from their cages. This once again is a great example of stacking mechanics. Sometimes, I just wish for another sequel of the same engine. It's like there's so many more cool and awesome puzzles that could be explored. We save 4 more Mudokons and move on to Zulak 9. Now here, I get this guy to pull the lever and I miss the freaking tube. Alright, we do this again and I finally hit the tube. Each level there is just another weird, crazy puzzle. Running from shadow to shadow, we take an exploding fort and get rid of the anti-possession machine and then deal with the rest of this floor. Exploding this guy, and that guy, and maybe this guy, and possibly also this one. It's all coming together. On level 5, we need to visit the executive offices. For a Glukkon, of course. These pretty much just come down to exploding some more stuff with forts, then navigating with the Glukkon through the levels and opening all the trapdoors. We're pretty much good for the base Zulak 9, but the other executive offices, well, we still have to clear those. Overall though, they are fairly straightforward, just opening 1 or 2 gates, and there you go. Ordering some of the sligs around in the end is also kind of funny. We get to move our guys down and save another 4 for a total of 244, getting pretty close. Next, we have to deal with some leeches. Now, I'm unsure how to deal with this puzzle at all, but I think I had the right idea, sort of. I just basically improv it and it seems to get the work done, mostly. Zulak 7 has us deal with blind Mudokons again, and this still is quite straightforward. Getting this guy out of here, looks a little bit hard, and to be fair, I only needed 4 tries. And then you just need to lure the blind guys through the slug-infested kennels. Whoever came up with this idea, a genius. But also, oh my. Luckily, we don't have to do it again. Instead, we just get some Shriekel powers. Zulak 6 starts with an easy 3 Mudokons rescued, and then we show off one of the funniest interactions ever. Because you have to water the Mudokons here, which will make them angry, which will, well, make them hit everyone around themselves, and you get this absolutely beautiful moment.
Stop it. No.
This is never used or shown ever again. In my opinion, a missed opportunity, but it's quite funny nonetheless. It's quite rough getting the timing right with this guy, but luckily I get it easily done and we save another Mudokon right here. However, I struggled to find out what to do here. It turns out you were actually supposed to place them on the trapdoor and then open that up. What the frick? Well, off to Zulak 10, where we disable the electric gate in the background and then get to run off with a slig. Shooting sligs left, right, and center. And finally disabling the electric gate, which does turn on all the drills in this place. Even though I'm pretty sure it's not intended, I take position of this guy and get the other 2 guys out of there. And then it's all about timing. One more save, and then another one, and here we freaking go. These guys help me open the door and off with you 3-2. Up to finished with 272 Mudokons saved. We're on the last stretch over here. Zulak 11 has us control a flying slig to get rid of some other sligs. We also need to cure some sick Mudokons as we go down. And then we have all 6 Mudokons collected and we need to escort them while the sligs in the background are shooting at us. However, of course, we easily rescue them and then it is on to Zulak 12. Taking possession of some forts, exploding some sligs, and then going down into this area. I actually messed this up by getting rid of the slugs, which you're actually supposed to control, but luckily I have some forts with me, so frick it, we're just gonna do it like that. I cure the Mudokons and save those 2 as well, and this slig is gonna have a really bad day at his performance review. Zulak 14, and okay, listen. This might be one of the most creative levels ever. However, I went through this 3 times, because at the end where you get the Shriekel powers, it just did not make any sense to me. Okay, listen. I thought leaving Zulak 14 means that it is done, but apparently it is not done. So the first time when I went up here, onto the puzzle itself, all 5 Mudokons are wired, so they will run around and not listen to any of your orders. Pressure plates above and below open the gates and close the gates. Now, that's fine. However, they also activate and deactivate the electric grids, which is a bit more tedious. And yeah, getting them to behave, I'll say the level design and the creativity here is absolutely genius. And luckily, if you tell the Mudokons, follow me, they will actually jump up and then move one space. So you can sometimes use that to your advantage. Still, it is a very long process, even though it's kind of fun. And we save all 5 of them, get these Shrike powers, and I go the right way this time. With it, a secret. We explode the mines and off to Zulak 13. Fairly easy sneaking from left to right, and we get ourselves another Glukkon. First, of course, to get rid of all of the Sligs and then releasing the Mudokons. Let's cure them and rescue another 3 up to 288. And apparently this is Zulak 14. Again, for some reason. Okay, whatever. There is a big death trap here. I believe this is the furthest jump in the entire game. And the greatest thing is you just gotta do it twice, because you also gotta get back. But after possessing the Slig, we can open the gate and proceed. Getting rid of the Slig below, we can then order another executive and descend with him. We get all of the Mudokons to follow us and explode the Slig and open the Hub 3 boiler room. Sending off our 6 brothers gets us to a total of 294. And these are all the Mudokons outside the last run that we have to rescue. Done with Hub 3, we continue to Zulak 15, or the final exit. Before we run, we have 4 minutes to finish this crazy game. Let's hear what the bosses and shareholders of Soulstorm Brewery have to say.
Hey! That bastard Abe's here! I demand to know who is at fault here!
You're not pinning this on me!
I'm telling you, it's that Abe guy. Sal, dump it, lose it, get rid of me. I work hard, I work hard.
What if he gets to the boiler?
The boiler?
The boiler?
What are we going to do?
The boiler.
What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Absolutely, positively never ever turn this wheel. Yet that's a great suggestion. But what if I do it regardless? And we don't need to stress too much at all. However, I do get this ledge before the drill comes through, and off we go. Now, how many attempts do you think this will take me? Enough to start a death counter? Not quite. But anyway, let's just see. We go run down, waiting patiently for the drills to release those prisoners. And then run, Abe, run! As we get away from the flying Slig, disabling the mines and the drills. Down we go. The elevators, they're a bit rough, but nothing we can't handle. I open the gate and once again use the appearing drill trick. Don't worry, this pissed Mudokon will be saved too. We get both of them up here, and we have to act quickly. You need both of them to be alive. We get Shrike powers, destroy everything to turn the valve to the last exit. And because we have rescued all Mudokons before, we are also let into the final secret, which has us save 3 more Mudokons for 300 saved. The last 12 seconds are running out, and Ape has saved the world again. So let's see our well-deserved ending.
It's not fair! We had twice the flavor!
I got out of there just in time. And I got the usual reception. The Mudokons were slowly coming together. And they were using their skills to build something new.
It'll be fine. It'll all work out. See, it's all feeling better. Hello, my name is Elf. Hi, Elf. I had my first brew when I was with Abe in the desert. Wow.
They were taking things one step at a time.
Can I share now? No. Just shut up.
All was going well. But we knew there had to be more of us out there.
We're screwed. Oh, that sucks.
And we were gonna find them.
rumor control reports that Abe, the terrorist mastermind behind the destruction of Rupture Farms, is also behind the Soulstorm Brewery atrocity.
I hate that guy!
Stay tuned for more on this story as it develops. This message brought to you by...
And there you have it. And oh, Oddworld Munch's Odyssey coming in 2000.
And
That's
don't
just
even think
24
about
years ago.
I am
Oh my.
32.
But there it is. Saving all 300 Mudokons, finding all the secrets. What does that get us? It gets us a bunch of pictures from the development process, including some concept art. While those are going into the background, I have to give some of my thoughts. As previously said, the game was made under a lot of distress for the development team because they had to meet the December 98 deadline, and in some parts, it does show. However, I sometimes still wonder what masterful game they could have made if the deadline would have extended by a year. Because I really think that the mechanics have not been utilized nearly to the fullest extent. They could have done so much more, but in the end, Abe's Exoddus, I still freaking love it, man. This game was literally my childhood. It was a bit scary back then, but I always loved to play it. I have so many fun memories that I still cherish to this day. To know the development process was quite hard on the devs is a little bit strange, because I have such great memories of playing the game, while they are probably like quite distressed memories of making the game. Regardless of the insane deadline though, they created a work of magnificent quality in my opinion. I have to give Abe's Odyssey a solid 9.5 farts out of 10. The only reason I can't give it a 10 is because of the aforementioned small details, and sometimes there's some lackluster puzzles in some areas. Overall though, it is a great improvement compared to Odyssey, and I would still love an official game engine release with all of the tools so we can make fan-made levels. Like, that would just be a dream. In reality though, we have Munch's Odyssey to look at next. I think I played this one previously, but really the two Abe games had me hooked. I'm sure we'll look at Munch's Odyssey in the future at some point. But for now, I want to thank you so much for watching, and right here is a video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy the most. Hope to see you there. So, yeah.